I'm Karen Gibbs, Creative Director of Banyan Boutiques by Northcott, and you are in our Facebook Live group, Karen Gibbs for the Love of Boutiques, and we're talking rainbow cake today, obviously. After this, you know what kind of snack we're having. The Rainbow Cake Collection is a Color Me Banyan collection, which means it's a technique, right, that we came up with. And that's hitting stores right now. You should see it in your local quilt shop. Let me know if you've seen it. Call them up, say, hey, did you get that Color Me Banyan in? Because it is quite an interesting way of doing a hand-painted stripe. I'm going to back up a little bit and talk about hand-painted stripes in general and why we like them. I love them. To me, it's a way of doing a geometric that's a softer geometric. It can fall back. It can be a background if you want. Or you can do it with a riot of color, and I know that's my favorite phrase here, with the rainbow ones. And what I like about it is it adds movement to the piecing. So if you've got a regular 9-patch or something like that, you've got, if you change the way or the direction that the hand-painted stripe goes, it kind of gives it a little more motion. So you can do a side-by-side block, and it's got a little bit of motion in it. Half square triangles look kind of cool with the different directions in it. Okay, of course we use our hand-painted stripes in landscapes. Of course we use them all the time in bindings and borders, but I like to use them in piecing. And I love the hand-painted stripes because the difference in color that comes about in the stripe. Now, the post that I did earlier today, it kind of showed you, we were playing with color a little bit. I was just in Indonesia, as you know, and we tried different things. We were working on the brush stroke. The brush stroke is an essential. That means that it's always available, right, for quilt shops to purchase. So a lot of times they'll make a sample up with our brush stroke or with our Khitan or with our BFFs, and then make kits up. And they expect the brush stroke to be very similar in color, okay, every time they order it. So this particular one right here, they're going to want this particular one every single time. And as you know, it's a hand-painted stripe, so things can change a little bit. And so trying to keep the quality control, what we do is we try and figure out, okay, how are we applying the color, for instance, okay? And that's what we are evaluating when we are doing that. We are inside, first of all, so we could film it, because the sun was so very bright. But what we were doing is also learning what the color processes would do. If you notice in that photo, we had a team of guys applying the colors, as opposed to one guy doing each stripe, right? We're doing a team of guys doing the stripe, and so the colors being applied all at the same time or very similar time. Because if you think of a 15-yard bolt or a 12-yard bolt, and I've applied the purple here, and I got all the way to the end, okay, and then I come back and I'm applying the blue, the purple is already processing, all right? So maybe I'm not going to have as much interaction between the purple and the blue, all right? And I want that interaction, because I want the variance of color in there, the different blues, the different purples, by it marrying together, okay? So if we instead don't pull it into the sun until all of the color is applied, all of the color is applied by a bunch of guys all at once, okay, and then pull it into the sun to process, leave it there, add the soda ash, it looks different than if I were to apply the purple and then apply the blue. It has a different process. So all of those kind of little tiny things affect how the color of the batik is done. And with essentials, it's really pretty imperative that time after time after time, they do that process the same way, if at all possible, okay? Because they're already dealing with rainy season. They're already dealing, you know, with a whole bunch of different issues, right? So if it's a cloudy day versus a full-on sun day, and they're processing, say, this particular batik or this brush stroke, that could be a problem, okay? So they make note of all of that, and in all of the factories, trying to see what makes it the most consistent, okay? Also, if you notice in that photo, the fabric was folded, right? It's folded up almost like an accordion style, right? Like kind of like that, okay? And it's not dry when it's folded, it's wet when it's folded. And the reason for that, a couple of things, it folds more evenly, but also the color when it's applied is going to travel a little bit more. Normally the smoking process or smocking process, it's kind of, we're scrunching it right all over. But if you're folding it, then you're getting the color dye to run in a certain direction. Again, the hand painted stripe. Okay, that's helping solidify the color to go in a certain direction. So that's another thing. What if I'm folding it differently as far as the width of the fold? So we make sure the consistency of the width of the fold is the same every single time too, to make sure we get this particular one. Again, it's hand done. There is going to be some variation because it is a batik. Let's talk about that. Is this a batik? It doesn't have any wax applied. So technically, this is not considered, this is not called a batik. In our industry, it is a batik, right? Because it's got the same base or grade goods. It comes from the same factories, the same hand-done techniques, but I have not used any wax. And the teak on the end of batik is referring to dots of wax. Okay, let's flip back to rainbow cake. And I've got a bigger piece here. On this, we've got the color applied, right? We've got the color of stripes applied, but look how we've got it. So it's folded this way, and then the color is applied this way. So it runs perpendicular to how it's folded. And then look at these little guys right here. How do you think I did these little guys? I took it and we did kind of like a little bit of a burst, okay, like that. All right, almost like a shibori effect. By doing that in a regular pattern, you get the rainbow cake effect of these particular, you can see it here from this header, okay? So these are fantastic to use in different kinds of projects, like I said. Make sure you go check them out and pull out the bolts at your local quilt shop, because all you're seeing is maybe this much of the width of the fabric, and you're not seeing all the different color variation in a batik, especially something like this, a Color Me Banyan or a hand-painted stripe, all right? So look at that one, the yellow and the orange, and this one totally inspired by our rainbow cake over there, right? Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. So this is the hand-painted stripes. Let me know if you have any questions. You are in the group Karen Gibbs for the Love of Batiks, and I'm Karen Gibbs, Creative Director of Banyan Batiks.